Welcome to the Pit Check, your source for all of the best and heaviest new albums released each week from your favorite metal bands. This week we've got so many heavy hitters, and I mean that literally. This week is disgustingly heavy. We've got some insane new deathcore albums, some unexpected new releases from some hopefully not forgotten about bands, and of course, as always, we've got some unknown up-and-comers that should definitely be on your radar. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, do all the engagement stuff, and let's get right into this week's new metal albums. What the f has been going on with deathcore lately? I said last week that we were in a new golden era of deathcore, with all of these old school and established deathcore bands not just coming back, but making some of the best deathcore we've heard in years. And now, right on cue, the legends Impending Doom are back with their newest EP, Towards the Light. Impending Doom are a wildly heavy Christian deathcore band, or as they like to say, they're a goreship band. And this is a short and sweet 5-song EP running just 11 minutes. If you're into non-stop back-to-back breakdowns, this one's for you. So, story time. Back in the day, especially in the South, a lot of parents were afraid of screaming music of any kind. It's evil, it's satanic, yada yada, right? But so in the 2000s, there was this rich vein of Christian metalcore and deathcore bands that you could easily point to and be like, no, look, Youth Pastor Dave, these aren't Satanists, they're actually praising God. And then Youth Pastor Dave is like, okay, I won't take away your CDs. So then you're in Sunday school in the corner like... But all jokes aside, a lot of these super Christian bands from that era were, in retrospect, just using the label to sell CDs and get on these big Christian tours and concerts, and later in their careers would kind of walk the Christian thing back. But Impending Doom are the real deal. 20 years later, and the first track on this EP is still Christ is King. Christ is King. So I can't help but respect that they stand on it and have since day one. So if you're into face-melting breakdown after face-melting breakdown, seriously, this EP is just wall-to-wall breakdowns. And if you like some good old-school deathcore vibes, or maybe you just need some good headbanging music on the way to church. Either way, definitely check out this new EP, Towards the Light by Impending Doom. Oh my god, what year is it? We've got Impending Doom and the Crimson Armada back and releasing new music. It's only been, what, 14 years since we've heard anything from the Crimson Armada? Well, welcome back, guys. This is the latest release from the cult classic metalcore/deathcore act, and this is a new EP titled Ceremony. Man, it even sounds like it was recorded 14 years ago, especially even just those drums. I was immediately transported back to listening to As Blood Runs Black on YouTube at like 240p. If you loved MySpace-era deathcore and metalcore, or you like the new throwback core and MySpace core bands, you've gotta check out these OGs. The Crimson Armada ran from 2007 to 2012, and only had 2 albums, but those 2 albums are to this day regarded as turning points for the genre as a whole. One of those your favorite band's favorite band kind of situations. So it's awesome to see them back in action, and they even brought some friends with them. We've got features from Miss May I on the song Ceremony, and Joey Sturgis on the song Man and Beast. It's cool to hear them back in full form, but this is only a 5-song EP, running about 12 minutes, and it's being released by TCA Records. So if you like that really aggressive and riffy metal-flavored deathcore, like As Blood Runs Black, or Old Miss May I, or maybe even Black Dahlia, I think you're definitely gonna love this. So again, that was the Ceremony EP by the Crimson Armada. Oh shit, Jinjer's back? Do I even need to introduce them? It's Jinjer. You know Jinjer. Just in case you don't, Jinjer is a proggy, groove metal, maybe metalcore adjacent band, and after 4 years, they have finally released their latest album, Duel. Or maybe it's Duel, since there is an accent over the E. Part of the reason for this 4-year delay is because they paused their music career in 2022 to help with the Ukrainian relief efforts, given they themselves are Ukrainian and wanted to help out as much as possible, even eventually being recognized as ambassadors of the nation by the Ukrainian Ministry of Culture. And to say these relief efforts made an impact on Jinjer's music would be an understatement. This record is as angry as I've ever heard them. As expected, this album largely revolves around the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, the lives impacted, the wealth and greed at the top and the suffering below, and so much more deeply tragic and vitriolic themes and motifs that run throughout this album. I mean, the easiest example I can give is the song Rogue, which is just a massive middle finger to Putin. This is an 11-song album running 43 minutes, and it's being released by Napalm Records. Again, this is a really intense new release from Jinjer, and I have to say, it kind of blew me away. If you're a new or old fan of theirs, or you want some really angry, proggy groove metal, absolutely check out Duel or Duel by Jinjer. "16 albums? Oh my god. Dream Theater are back with their 16th studio album, Parasomnia. Where do we begin here? It's Dream Theater, arguably the biggest prog metal band of all time, with many calling them one of the big three of prog. They've been around since the mid-80s, they've won 3 Grammys, and one of which just being in 2022, so they're still kicking ass. The big hype around this album is that it's the first one in over a decade and a half to feature the original and fan favorite drummer, Mike Portnoy. There was a huge falling out between band members James Labrie and Mike Portnoy, which obviously led to his split, and after not seeing each other for over a decade and a half, they reunited at, of all places, a Dream Theater show. In an interview with Rolling Stone, James Labrie said, "Mike and I are both very emotional and passionate people, and I think that led to the reason for us not coming together until we did. But as soon as I saw him, like I said, I came out of my dressing room, I saw him, and I was like, come here, and I gave him a fucking hug. And that was it." About this new album, the band said, "Instead of being a conventional concept album based around a cohesive narrative, it's a thematic concept album based around parasomnia, encompassing a wide range of unusual and undesirable experiences and behaviors people experience in their sleep, also known as disruptive sleep disorders." This new album runs at 8 songs and a whopping 1 hour and 11 minutes, and it's being released by Inside Out Music. So if you like that classic progressive metal style, I mean, these guys invented it, check out this latest album from Dream Theater. If you like atmospheric black metal, this is SAOR? SAOR? There is no way I pronounced that right. This is an atmospheric folk / black metal band, and they've just released their newest album, Amidst the Ruins. This is a Scottish band that's been active since 2013, and thematically and lyrically, they like to dig into Scottish history, nature, landscapes, and even poetry. This album is just 5 songs, but it's about an hour long, and it's being released by Season of Mist. This one's obviously going to be for black metal lovers, especially those who like their music that feels like an epic journey or a sprawling voyage, almost like echoing from the mountaintops. I don't know why, it gives me the vibe of like a D&D quest. But I actually think this release might ruffle some feathers with more of the black metal elitist side of things, because there is a lot of elements here that aren't solely black metal, and especially the second to last track being an 8-minute, basically acoustic song with just clean vocals, acoustic guitar, and a pan flute. I could see some black metal heads not loving that. But I think it's kind of a vibe, and I think the rest of the album will still scratch that black metal itch for all the black metal lovers, especially those who like more post-black elements. I think you should definitely check this one out. Again, that was SAOR with their newest album, Amidst the Ruins. And then for the last of the big heavy hitters for the week, this one you may have already heard about since it released actually 2 days after the last video aired. So it's not new, but like, come on, I can't not mention them. Experimental deathcore weirdos rejoice!
I'm sorry, try again.
Darko, US, are back with their latest EP, Dethmask Part 3. Man, where to begin with this band? Darko are known for being extremely experimental deathcore, sometimes falling under the aliencore banner. Either way, they blend a lot of really chaotic guitar and drums with disgustingly heavy vocals with a lot of range, and obviously crushing breakdowns, but also add in electronic and ambient and melodic and R&B elements, among many others. But they somehow do an amazing job of balancing all of these different elements cohesively and weirdly beautifully. There's also some really unexpected features on this EP. For example, the song Have You Ever has 2 features, Kai Lokai, who's a California-based rapper, and the other being Caleb Duthet, who I'm pretty sure is a 15-year-old kid in the band Trash Can Murder Ride. Late last year, the band asked for fans to send in vocal covers of their single Bloodhost for a chance to get featured on the new album. So I can only assume this kid won? If so, good for you, kid. And then there's the highly divisive closing track, Grim Reaper and a Uzi, which features Lazy, who is a lo-fi indie bedroom pop girly. So I meant what I said about Darko being wildly experimental. I can't believe they had the balls to end this EP on such a soft song like this. And it samples Adventure Time.
You were a wonderful experience.
This band is the epitome of taking every one of their favorite genres and influences that they're a fan of and just putting it all together in a big deathcore blender. Darko is a 2-piece band composed of Tom Barber, who is notably the vocalist of Chelsea Grin and former vocalist of Lorna Shore, and Josh Miller, aka Baby J, who is a former drummer of Spite and a current member of Chelsea Grin also. So if you've never heard of this band but are wondering why the vocals sound familiar, that's why. Also, since they're both in Chelsea Grin but haven't played Darko stuff live, everything in me is hoping on this headlining Chelsea Grin tour that we might get some Darko songs. Probably not, but a boy can dream. So if you're a fan of that chaotic yet groovy and melodic and electronic deathcore and everything else, then you absolutely need to check out this new EP by Darko US titled Dethmask Part 3. Okay, now for some bands you might not be aware of, but should definitely be on your radar. These are bands with like 15K or less Spotify monthly numbers. But before we get into those, like always, I want to hear from you. Which albums do you love this week? Which ones do you think fucking suck? But yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, whatever else. It would really mean a ton. Anyway, without further groveling to the algorithm gods, slam, death metal, and beatdown lovers are feasting right now. Final Resting Place are fairly new on the scene, but have been making huge waves with their throwback 90s New York brutal death metal vibe. It actually tripped me out for a second because this new EP is listed on Spotify and YouTube as being from 1991, which at first I was like, oh wow, this band's way older than I thought. But no, that's just their cheeky way of giving you the heads up to expect a more 90s BDM style. I think this one's going to be very divisive, and no, not just because I mentioned slam earlier, and people are very particular about what is and isn't slam, but no, this EP is already very divisive because the recording quality and style of the mix is wild. Like I said, they're really committing to this late 90s DIY garage band sound, and while you gotta respect that they absolutely nailed that sound, it is definitely a sound that not everyone's gonna like. I think if you really like that gritty as hell, brutal death metal, I think this one will definitely be up your alley. But if you're not used to that and you are used to a more polished sound, I'd still recommend giving it a shot, but you'll have to see for yourself if you're gonna vibe with it. The online discourse around this EP so far has been largely positive, especially with people praising the songwriting skills for such a young band, but the constant recurring negative I keep saying over and over again is all about the production choices on this album. It was definitely a shock to me when I first heard it. The kick drum especially kind of overwhelms the mix, and especially because their last EP, which was also dirty and gritty, by comparison, sounds so much more polished than this EP. I guess the easiest way to put it is their last EP sounds like a 90s BDM band, and this EP sounds like a 90s BDM band with no money, which is kind of a vibe, to be honest. It took me a couple listens, but I came around to the mixing, and this actually is a really solid EP. So if you like beatdown hardcore, brutal death metal, or slam, or all of the above, you should definitely give the new Final Resting Place EP, Bound by Affliction, a shot, and see if you like it. Oh man, this one's gonna get me demonetized. Just kidding, I'm not monetized. Yet. Please subscribe. The deathcore band Clear a seriously amazing band name are back with their latest EP, Midwest Devastation. Is actually a solo project, but apparently when they play live, they get members of Left to Suffer and Angel Maker to play with them. I have no idea how he pulls that off, but that's awesome. This is a 5-song EP, clocking in at 13-ish minutes, and it's being released independently. So if you're a fan of some good deathcore that has some beatdown hardcore influence, I'd recommend giving this project a shot. Okay, let's talk about Pathogenic. This is a sick band with a ton of variety. I guess they're primarily technical death metal, but they're also pretty proggy and genty as well. And they have released a new full-length album titled Crowned in Corpses. I think if you dig anything from tech death to blackened deathcore, I think you'll dig this. Which makes sense, right? Their early work was more in the black metal, death metal side of things, and this later work is clearly more in the tech death / deathcore side of things. The musicianship here is through the roof. There's some amazing solos and guitar riffs, and the drummer is super clean, and the melodic elements and atmospheric elements are so good. This is an 8-song album clocking in at 42 minutes, and it's being released by Skepsis Recordings. Again, I highly, highly recommend this one. This is Crown and Corpses by Pathogenic. Thanks again for joining me on these weekly heavy metal new releases. Let me know if there's any albums that I missed or something I picked up on, or hey, maybe watch another video if you missed last week's new albums. And I'll catch you next week for another pit check.